I could probably go through
No, they
some.
are. I was like my stomach on my list, and I just not.
Okay, do you remember, we did these last week by hand. You took a test. I didn't show you how to do these on the graphing calculator. But now we're gonna revisit them, and I'm gonna show you some tricks. So when you take your ACT test, you can fly through these kinds of problems. Do you remember how we solved this? By hand, remember? Absolute value? How did you break this up into what?
Positive, negative.
X plus 4 equals 5x minus 2. And then what else did we do? X plus 4 equals negative 5x plus 2. Remember this? And what we did was we solved them. And I'm going to go quick. We got 3/2 for this answer. And we got negative 1/3 for this answer. Right? Now, what were you supposed to do at this point?
Check the thing.
You were supposed to check. When you have a variable on the side, one of these is gonna be possibly extraneous, or maybe both. So this one doesn't work, I know, because when I plug 5 here, 5 times negative 1/3, you're gonna get a negative number minus 2 is a bigger negative. This answer is gonna be extraneous. This one works, but how do you do this on a calculator now? So we're not gonna do it this way. How will you type this in your calculator and find these answers? What would you type? Take your calculator, you're gonna go to the y equals button, and you're gonna type in absolute value x plus 4. How do you type in absolute value on the calculator? Math, num, abs. And then do x plus 4, parenthesis. Now what do you do on the other side? Swing these two numbers to the other side, but by changing them, make it negative 5x and plus 2. And then hit graph. Now my window is messed up from last hour, so let me zoom standard. There you go. Now check this out. How many solutions do you see? You see 2? One. So that leads me to believe that which one of those was extraneous? One of them? Which one is it? The negative 1/3. Now, let's say I didn't want to do this the long way. How do I get this answer right here? What do I type? Second calc 0, and it looks like it's between 0, enter, and 2. And there's your answer, 1.5. You get it? 1.5? Good. Next one. Do you remember how to solve this one? The long way? Remember? X squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 2. Or x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals what? Negative 2. Do you remember what you did next? You subtracted 2 and you got a 0 on one side. And then you had to factor. You made your little parentheses. And it's plus 5 and minus 1. And you got negative 5 for an answer and 1. And then this side, you're going to add 2. We actually did these in class. And this one, you're going to go, oh, I can't factor this one, so what did you have to do? The quadratic formula. You end up with this one, negative 2 plus or minus. I'm just going to go quick, because I already taught this. That's that answer. How do you get these 4 answers now? How are you going to do it? You're going to hit y equals math, num, abs. You're just going to type in x squared plus 4x minus 3, parenthesis, and then what do I do with that 2? What do I do? Anyone? Just do minus 2. Put a 0 on one side and hit graph. There's your 4 answers. There's your 4 answers. You're going to get your -5. You're going to get your, one of them's going to be -2 minus root 5, but you're going to get that answer in a decimal. You're not going to get it, you're not going to get an exact answer. And 1 and -2 plus root 5. Those are all 4 answers. You would just have to hit, for each one of them, hit math, or hit second, calc, 0, and so forth. You have to go through and get them all. So there are, all 4 of those worked. Okay, let's move on. Example 4. How did I show you how to do this one? Remember? Uh-huh. You subtracted 5, then what did you do? You squared both sides and so forth. Remember this? The long way, if you want to revisit it, you're going to get the 2 answers you get are 4. You end up getting 4, and you get 9 for this. What were you supposed to do then? Check for extraneous solutions, right? Okay, we're not going to do this way. We're going to use the calculator. What do I type? What do I type? 5 plus square root 3x minus 11, and then parentheses. And what do I do with x? Subtract it. Good. And hit graph. Now, I only see one answer. Do you see the 4 being hit at all? No. Why do you think the 4 is not hit? Because it's extraneous. Exactly. So what answer worked is the 9. You want to make sure that second calc 0, and it looks like it's between 5, enter, and 10. And there it is, 9. Bingo. So this answer was extraneous. Doesn't work. How about the next one? How did we do this one? We had to bring this over to this side. We did this. 2x minus 3 equals 2 plus the square root of x plus 7. Then what did we do? We squared both sides. We had to FOIL this side and so forth. You end up for this one, you get x is 2. You have to square both sides twice on this one. So to make a long story short, we got these 2 answers. Do both of these work? Let's see. How would you type this in your calculator? You're going to type in y equals square root 2x minus 3 parenthesis minus square root x plus 7 parenthesis and then minus 2 and hit graph. Now, did it even hit 2? No, that's extraneous. It will eventually hit 42. Do you want to see it? Well, my window only goes to 10. There's my window. I have a 10 by 10 window. So I would want to see, I want to expand this. I'm going to go to, let's say, 50 and hit graph, and you'll see. Now it's going to be a little fuzzy because this is technology. It is hitting. And you know that I changed my window to from -10 to 50. I might want to go by 10s. And I might want to, instead of using -10, I might want to start at 0 and hit graph. Maybe that would help to see it a little bit better. It is still kind of ugly looking, but it's hitting right here. So I'm going to hit second. I don't know exactly where. So second calc 0. And it looks like it's between 40 and 50. And there it is, 42. That's exactly where it hit the x-axis. Easy? Okay, what do you do with these fractions? A little different. What did we do? We factored the numerator and the denominator, right? So this is what your job is going to be. You're going to take this numerator and you're going to type y1. and find the zero. So let's do that. And you could factor it, it's a factorable one, so we have 6x squared, and then minus x, and then minus 1. And I'm gonna hit graph. Now I have to change my layer. Let's zoom standard. I get 2 answers. So, here's my graph. Let's see where those 2 numbers are. And you might want to zoom decimal, because they're real close to the origin. So, I have my first 0, let's do second calc 0. That one, this one looks like it's between -1 and 0. And I get negative, do you know what negative 0.333? It's 1/3, negative 1/3. So one of my answers is negative 1/3. Now, the other answer, before you find the other one, what you're gonna wanna do, you're gonna wanna plug this number in the bottom. Why? You wanna make sure that you don't get a 0 when you plug negative 1/3 here. If you do, you're gonna throw that answer out. It would be an extraneous solution because you can't have 0 in the denominator. So what will I do at this point? You're gonna clear your calculator. I showed you guys how to do this. Clear your calculator, hit clear twice. Type in the bottom equation, 2x squared plus 9x, and then minus 5, and hit enter. As long as you don't get a 0, which we didn't, then that's an okay answer. That one's fine. Did everyone see what I did? Huh? Did you get 0?
No,
I got -7.7.
I got
I got 0.
I got the same thing.
Oh, because I cleared out my Y value.
You got, no, negative 1/3.
I got 81.
Huh? You got negative 1/3, so you have negative 1/3, and then did you type the bottom, 2x squared?
Yeah.
2x squared plus 9x minus 5?
I got 285. Wait, can we restart from,
Yeah, wanna start over? Okay, let's go back. Okay, so type in the numerator, 6x squared minus x minus 1, and then hit graph. Okay, now your first answer, you hit second calc 0, and that one's between -1 and 0, and you get negative 1/3, right? Now plug that answer into the bottom, 2x squared. So clear, 2x squared plus 9x, and then minus 5, and then hit enter. You should get negative 7.77.
yeah, I got it.
You got it now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now let's test our other 0, because that one's not gonna work. Now go back to the graph. Go back to the graph. Now let's find this 0 right here. How do you get this 0? Second calc 0, and that one's between 0 and 1. Give me the answer, 0.5. Now let's plug 0.5 now in the bottom, So clear. So you're gonna type 2x squared, again, it takes a minute to do all this typing, minus 5. Now there you're gonna get a 0. So when you came up with x is 0.5, when you plug this in here, you're gonna get a 0, so that's extraneous. You don't want that answer, because that gives you a 0 in the denominator, and you can't have a 0 in the denominator. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Now, go to section 2.5 on the back. 41. Do you guys remember how to do this the long way, solve the inequality? Let's see if you recall this. You are going to you're going to get a 0 on one side, which it's already there. Do you remember how to factor the left side? How do you factor this? We want the critical numbers. I heard -3 and -1, right? So what are your critical numbers? 3 and 1, right? Now, what did we do? Remember what we did? We
Yeah.
ordered these, 1 goes here and 3 goes here, right? We picked a point to the left of 1. Give me a test point. 0. If you put 0 here and 0 here, you end up with a negative times a negative, right? What is a negative times a negative? Positive. Is a positive number less than 0? No. So, no, this region did not work. Now let's pick a number between 1 and 3. 2. If you put 2 here and 2 here, you get a negative times a positive? What's a negative times a positive? Is a negative less than 0? So yes, this region works. And this region right here is not going to work because you're going to get big numbers and they're all going to be positive, and a positive number is not less than 0. So now, how did you graph the solution? Do you remember what we did? We shaded this region in, and what do we do with 1 and 3? Put what? Brackets. We put brackets. Why not parentheses? What was the reason for not using parentheses? Because it's got the bar here. It's equal to 0. So what is our answer in interval notation? It's 1, 3 with brackets, right? That's the answer. Now I'm going to show you how to do this with the calculator. So go to y equals. You're going to type in x squared minus 4x plus 3. X squared minus 4x and then plus 3 and hit graph. Okay, does everybody have that picture right there? I have a decimal window. Now, see this right here? That's your picture. My equation I want less than 0. So think of the x-axis as your border. Above the x-axis would be greater than 0, and below is going to be less than 0. Does that make sense? Less than 0 is below the x-axis. So we want these two critical numbers, which are 1 and 3. If you want to find out where it hits right there, you would hit second calc 0. Left bound is 0, right bound is 2, and you're going to get 1. And then to get that one, you hit second calc 0, 2 and 3, and you're going to get, 2 and 4, and you're going to get 3. So now, where is the region? Here's my little picture here. Here's my picture. It goes like this. This is 1, and this is 3 right here. So the part of the graph that's less than or equal to 0 is this bottom part right here. How are you going to write the answer? It's between 1 and 3. That's your interval notation with brackets. Okay, let's try another one. Number 43. Type this in your calculator. X squared plus 9x and then plus 15. And you're going to want to change it to a standard window to see the zeros. Everybody see that? This is what you should have when you type that in. Sketch your picture. So I want you to sketch this. I need these two critical numbers right there. How do I get this one? So I went from -10 to 0. That's my window. It's a standard window. How do I get this number right here? Second calc 0, and it's between -10 and -5. I got -6.8. Did anyone else? Did you get -6.8 there? Okay, let's get this one now. Second calc 0, That one's between -5 and 0. I got -2.2. You guys with me? So now, for $1 million, who's gonna give me the correct answer? I want greater than or equal to 0.
Bracket, -6.8, and -2.2 bracket.
You gave me less than 0. Less than 0 is what you just read to me the answer. Greater than 0 is above the x-axis, so it's this, that piece, and this piece now. Now it's a little different. Anyone wanna try it? Go ahead.
Parenthesis negative infinity.
Good job. Parenthesis, negative infinity,
6.8 bracket.
-6.8, bracket or parenthesis? You said bracket,
Union.
union,
Bracket,
Uh-huh.
-2.2. Infinity.
very good, that's it. Do you see it?
A plus, can be.
You get $1 million.
Why wasn't the other one infinity?
Because these are going out that way to infinity. So you're reading the x-axis. You want greater than or equal to 0, so it's these pieces. If this said less than or equal to 0, it'd be this piece right here, which is contained between -6.8 and -2.2. Why didn't we use, because this one says less than 0, which is this piece right here. We didn't want these.
Okay.
Okay, try another one. Number 47. Okay, so let's type in x cubed minus x. And then delete anything else that you have. So make sure you have your hit graph. Okay, so this one, when I see this picture, I go, wow, that's really close to the numbers -2 and 2. So I go to my, I'm gonna change my window to a decimal window like that. And that expands it. Now, to get these three numbers, you would hit second calc, 0, blah, blah, blah. But they end up being nice numbers for you. This is actually a non-calculator problem. You can factor this easy. Do you know what that number is right there? It's -1. Let's sketch this graph. -1 goes like that. This is -1. This is 0. And this is 1. So now, I want everything of this graph that's greater than or equal to 0. So what part is greater than or equal to 0? It's this little bump right here. I'm highlighting it for you. And then that little piece. So how will we write this answer? You're gonna do, always start with the smallest number, -1. Now why am I using a bracket? Because that bar is there. The bar is here, I include that critical number, -1. And then 0, bracket, and then union, bracket, 1 to infinity. Infinity always has a parenthesis.
Yes.
How did you, change your window?
I went to Zoom, go to Zoom, the
Okay.
Zoom feature right here,
And then zoom decimal?
and then decimal.
Alright.
Yep. I go to Zoom decimal and Zoom standard. I go back and forth. And then if it's anything other than that, I physically go to my window and I hand select
So
numbers.
say it wasn't 1, then you would just do the second 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, how about 49? We're gonna do all these together. 49. What do you type in your calculator? X cubed minus 2x squared, and then minus 3x. And hit graph. Let's see what we have. We may need to change our window. Oh, this one looks good. Okay, do you know what the 3 critical numbers are? What's this one right here? What's that number? These are nice numbers. -1, what's this one?
0.
And what's this one?
3.
3. You got it. Okay. what are we looking for? Less than 0. So I want, what's the less than 0 part? This and that, right there. That's my answer. How do I write this answer now? Where do I start? Yep, negative infinity.
So whenever it doesn't have a bar or isn't,
Yeah, if it doesn't have a bar, you put parentheses.
Mhm.
-1, parenthesis, union. Yep. Next one. Type that in. X to the 4th minus 5x to the 2nd, and then plus 4. Make sure you delete anything that's stuck. Okay, those are nice numbers. And if you're not sure, you should type in second calc 0 and check them out. Anyone know what those 4 numbers are? -2, -1, 1 and 2. I like to sketch it. Looks like a W. So this is -2. This is -1. This is 1, and this is 2. So I want less than or equal to 0. So what part do I want? I want that piece and that piece. How do I write these answers? Mhm. Number 50. Now, what if it would have been greater? What if I would have changed this to greater than 0? Then I want all this. So it would be negative infinity to -2. And then I would do -1 to 1. And I would do 2 to infinity. Okay. How about number 53? So you've got x cubed, it's a long one, minus 2x squared, minus 5x, and then plus 7. Do I need to, what do I do with the other side?
How do you subtract?
Just subtract them, minus 2x and then minus 1. I don't have to do any calculations whatsoever. You don't have to collect like terms. You don't have to simplify anything. Just type it all in. Now, unfortunately, guess what? These 3 zeros are not crossing at nice numbers for us. So this is very important. Make sure you can do this problem. What do? I'm going to sketch the graph first. It helps me to sketch it. I need this number, I need this number, and I need that number. How am I going to find those 3 numbers? There's my picture. What do? How do I find the very first one? That one. Second calc 0. It looks like it's between -3 and -2. I get -2 let's round to the nearest 10th. -2.3. Everyone cool with that? -2.3. This is -2.3. Let's find this next one. Second calc 0. That one's between 0 and 1. And I got 0.8. And my third 0. Second calc 0. And that one looks like it's between 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that one is 3.5. So, what am I looking for? Greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0, greater than or equal to, because I brought these over. When I brought them over, what was left here was a big 0. So what part is the part I'm looking for? Looking for this piece and that piece. So how can you articulate the correct answer? What do I write? Bracket, -2.3. What else? Comma, 0.8, bracket, union,
Bracket 3.5.
Very good. One more, 55. This one's a tough one. See if you can handle this one. 2x to the fourth. 2x to the fourth plus 3x squared. I'm sorry, 3x cubed. 3x cubed minus 2x squared, bringing everything to one side, minus 4x, and then plus 2. Hit graph. Now check this out. That's what I got with a decimal window. If you would have had a standard window on this one, this is what your picture looks like. See that? So you're gonna, if you started off with a standard window, that's what you saw. It barely touches between 0 and 1. So my next thing, what I would do is I would go to zoom, I would go to a decimal window. And I would do that, and I would say, okay, it's a little bit better, it's a little better, but if I wanna see the action between what two numbers? Between what two numbers? This thing is hitting, here's your graph. It's going like this, it's doing something over here and then it's going like this. So to see this, I want to stretch out between 0 and 1. So I'm going to take my window, let me take my window. In my x minimum, I'm going to do 0, and my x maximum, I'm going to do 1. So between 0 and 1, when I graph this, here's 0 and here's 1. So I need this number and that number. So let's go, what would you put for numbers to get this first 0? That's 0. What would you say this is? I'm going to do 0.75. So hit second calc 0. I'm going to go between 0 and 0.75.
Can I see the equation you put in?
And I get 0.5. Yes, my equation. 2x to the fourth plus 3x cubed minus 2x squared minus 4x plus 2. You see it?
Yeah,
Did you get it?
I didn't get that, because I subtracted the 2x.
You should. Wait.
Why is it positive for me?
Okay, 2x to the fourth plus 3x cubed, bring this over. This is negative 2x squared. You don't see it?
I was just wondering, I brought the left side over to the right.
Oh, why?
I don't know.
You want then you'd have 0 is less than. I would bring everything over that way. Get the 0 on the right side. It's gonna confuse you. So, did you get for your first, when you did that, to get this 0, I hit second calc 0, and it's between 0 and 0.75? And I got 0.5 for my first answer, 0.5. So if I stretch this out, it goes like, it's gonna go here, this is 0.5. And where is it reaching? Where is it coming up here? Anyone get that answer yet? Second calc 0. So I'm gonna say this one's between 0.6, enter, and 1. And I get 0.84. So how will you write this answer? I want less than 0, because I brought these over, I got a 0 here on this side. That's the answer. It's this piece right here. So the answer would be a parenthesis, 0.5, comma, 0.8. And you're done. If we round it to the nearest 10th. If I round it to the nearest 100th, put 0.5, comma, 0.84. Okay? Teddy, can you stop recording? Thank you. you.